Marouane Fellaini. Marouane Fellaini. We are back. It is the derby. It is the preview. I am joined by Stephen Howson, who looks very happy, and the one, the only Sam Homewood, who is on YouTuber as a YouTuber. Sam, do you want to tell the guys about your new channel?
Did a channel. Should I do more than that? Yeah, it's just search my name and hopefully you'll find it. And I'll talk about football stuff a bit. Maybe you'll like it. That'd be nice. Have a look.
Yeah, that might be nice. Go and give him a follow straight away. Of course, subscribe as well. Stephen Howson as well. He's on YouTube at some point. Anyway, Mourinho's been talking over the afternoon. The press conference is done. We've got some injury news. So Zlatan, Ibrahimovic and Phil Jones are ready to start. Eric Bailly and Michael Carrick will miss the derby. And Nemanja Matic will play, but he is injured. So maybe a cheeky injection before the game. But of course, the talk of this game, it's so big. First versus second in the Premier League. United currently 8 points behind Manchester City. Stephen, we'll come to you first. Would this be the end? If United lost this game, is that game, set, match for Pep Guardiola's Manchester City?
You would assume so, wouldn't you? Because you're looking at like a 4, probably 5 game wobble that they're going to need to lose. And then you're expecting United to make sure we win every single one of those games while they're dropping all of those points. Now, it can happen. We've lost leads ourselves. We've chased down leads bigger than that in the past. But this City team look a shade more invincible than the teams that we've chased down doing that. It is entirely possible, especially if they're fighting on multiple fronts. If they go far in the FA Cup, if they go far in the Champions League, it's certainly possible, but it's very, very unlikely. And one of the bookies has already paid out on City winning the league already, haven't they? I mean, I'm not sure that this is a must-win for United, but it's probably a must-not-lose.
As a guy that did maths and stats at university, what are they doing? Absolute idiots, that bookmakers. But anyway, Sam, over to you. What do you think Mourinho's approach in the game will be? And do you think it is curtains if United lose this big, big clash?
I think we'll see classic Mourinho in a big game. I think he will be very heavy on defence and try and pick them off on the counter, because his approach in big games is nearly always, we won't lose. That's always the approach he takes, and he's very defensive in his mindset, which is why a lot of the big games under Mourinho have been less than inspiring. I'm thinking the 3 games so far against Liverpool, the game against Spurs, the win against Arsenal sort of stands out completely in contrast to games we've had. Obviously, one victory also stands out as different to Mourinho's other games against some of the bigger clubs. So I expect it to be a relatively tight affair in terms of, I think we'll have a lot of men behind the ball and there'll be a lot of talk of parking buses. But we could lose this 10-0 and I would not in any sense tell you that the total race is over. You can have somebody really far in front in a race, but the race is only finished when the race is finished. Doesn't matter. Like, you just keep going until it's finished. Anything could happen. And it doesn't mean that, because it says City have an 8-point lead at some point, and if that stays for 4 months or 6 months and that's how they win the league, it doesn't mean that there wasn't a race, or it doesn't mean that the race is over now. Like, all we can do is get the best results we can do and challenge them as much as we can. And if that means we finish the season in second place, having never really pulled it back, that doesn't mean there wasn't a race, because we were putting pressure on the entire time. So the mentality has to be that this competition is still available to be won, because, fact, it is still available to be won, regardless of the result at this weekend. Their last 3 games, they could have so easily dropped 6 points if it wasn't for last-minute goals. Now, it's not like they got those last-minute goals on the back of playing very poorly. They're last-minute goals off the back of a lot of sustained pressure in games that they probably should have been in the lead in already. However, that 6 points so easily could have been dropped. And what a difference that would make. And to think that they might not drop 6 points over the course of the next 3 months is insane. Like, they will lose games. They will drop points. It will happen. It's the Premier League. That's what happens. Teams have been on these runs before. Arsenal won 13 games. I think Chelsea with Mourinho won 13 games. This isn't a one-off, exceptional, ludicrously invincible team. They are just currently playing very, very well. But they will have blips. They are fallible, like every other team in sport.
I agree with you, Sam, and that is why you should go right now and subscribe to Sam's channel, because he can drop bombs like that. Talking about other bombs, we had a big bomb last weekend for, of course, Manchester United, with Paul Pogba getting sent off because Hector Bellerin thought he was playing cricket. The long barrier, that's a cricket move, not football. Howson, who do you think Mourinho should bring in for this massive game? Marouane Fellaini, Herrera, or somebody else?
I'd love it to have been Michael Carrick, to be honest, because I think There's two ways that United's going to win this game if we're going out to win it, and I sincerely hope that we are going out to win it and not going to not lose it. And the way that you're going to win it is, one, at set pieces, and the other way that you're going to win it is by delivering balls in behind City's defence, which has got a ridiculously high line, and you use your bit of pace and you get behind it and you attack behind their defence, behind their fullbacks especially. Now, you can't attack behind their fullbacks unless you've got someone who can deliver a ball. Paul Pogba is an absolute master at putting the ball into the channels behind fullbacks and creating attacks from there. Without him doing that, I worry about how United's going to do it. The other tactic we could have is hit and hope it towards Fellaini, or you have Michael Carrick come in. Herrera's not really got that kind of ball in his locker, unfortunately. Otherwise, I think he'd have been a decent option. But I think Mourinho will probably go with, let's try and bully him. I expect it to be Fellaini. I'd love it to be Carrick.
Interesting, yeah. Michael Carrick, has that passing range that could unlock the defence. And Herrera, I think you're a little bit harsh because, remember that game against Chelsea in the Premier League, the ball to Marcus Rashford. He has that pass in his locker, but he doesn't play it enough. Anyway, moving on to Sam, what do you think? Should there be a change in formation? And who's coming in for you to replace the mighty Paul Pogba?
I would I would play Herrera. Pogba's a dad merchant. What has he ever done? Nothing for nobody. I'm joking, he's obviously amazing. But I would play under Herrera because I think he brings a bit of bite to the midfield. And as we have seen in the past, although his form recently has not always been his best, if you think back to that game against Chelsea that we won where he had Hazard in his back pocket, he is capable on the big occasion of performing. I mean, that's not to suggest that Fellaini wouldn't do a job. But I also like to think that picking, say, Herrera as an example over Fellaini suggests a more ambition, a more approach to the game, as opposed, like, Herrera will try and attack. He does love a shot from a bit of distance. They almost never go in. But he does have at least some attacking instincts from the middle of the park to play balls forward. And I think, obviously, Michael Carrick would be ideal. Even, like, depending on the formation, you could drop Ibra in at number 10 and move things around that way. I don't know if that would be wise, though, but you could do it. But no, I'd go founder Herrera. And I think the lack of Paul Pogba is enormous for two reasons. The first, obviously, he is an incredible footballer. And the second, it just takes something away from the game when you've got two huge clubs meeting in an important fixture and they can't both offer their absolute best. I think it takes something away from the battle.
We can only blame Hector Bellerin and, of course, Sam's Tesco internet connection for apologising about his screen right now. For me, I think Marouane Fellaini's probably the better option. I think when Herrera and Matic, they play together, they do the same job. They both sort of play as number sixes, where if you throw in someone like Marouane Fellaini, more of a number 8, more going to get onto that back post and, win those balls in the box and score goals with, of course, Ashley Young assisting him. Anyway, now we may go to a 30-set ad break. You may see that. You may not. But anyway, thanks for sticking with us. And now it's time to talk about the teams. The scores for the selection game that we play, of course, you've got to guess the 11 that Mourinho's going to play. So if you haven't already, jump into the link in the description below and drop the comments in and put your team in. But anyway, they're the scores, of course. Adam McCullough in the lead. I'm in second place. And that's why apparently producer Chris has got me presenting today because he doesn't want me to take the title. But without further ado, Stephen Howson, what's your tactics? What's your formation? Who is in your team?
Well, considering we're playing this prediction game, it's not the team I would go with. It's the team that I'm thinking Mourinho's going to go with, and the reasons why. I think we're playing a back three. I think he trusts the team a bit more with a back three. I think we probably are starting to get the hang of playing as a back three as well. So I think that the Watford game and the Arsenal game probably give us a good indicator of exactly what he wanted to do coming into the City game, because I think they're all very similar tactics we would use in all of those games. And the back three that I'm not even going to mention a goalkeeper because we all know who's going to play. It's the best goalkeeper in the world, or the third best goalkeeper in the world behind Romero and Pereira, according to Jose Mourinho. But David De Gea in there, obviously. And then I did have Baye selected, so the graphic might say Baye, but since then Mourinho's come out and said he's not going to play. So I guess Smalling would be in the middle, with Lindelof and Jones ideally either side of him. Lindelof's really grown into being a Manchester United player these last few weeks after that really rocky start. He's obviously working on stuff, and it's not just an adaptation, because there was holes in his game prior to him arriving, which is now showing up, and I'm absolutely delighted at that. I think it'll be Valencia and Young as wing-backs, can both sort of do a job defensively and sort of do a job going forward. I think Matic plays because he's going to have a massively important role. I would play Herrera alongside him for the sort of job we saw him do against Hazard against Chelsea. I think Mourinho's going to go with Units FC, and I think he's going to play Zlatan and Fellaini as midfielders in this one, which I think is ballsy. But I think you get a leader in Zlatan, and I think you got an outlet and a threat from set pieces in, well, the entire midfield, to be honest. I do think Herrera would be the better option for mobility because you're dealing with a lot of short, agile players. And I think Herrera, and like Sam said earlier, the bite that he's got, he gets Manchester United, he would get a derby. And for that reason, possibly Jesse Lingard as well, as a bit of an attacking outlet. But I think he's going to go with Martial and Lukaku up front. Martial has looked absolutely lethal this season. And he's going to play Lukaku top and bottom, whether he's in form, out of form. And I think a lot of what he's been doing has gone unnoticed. I think his off-the-ball play has been absolutely fantastic. He's bringing others into the game. And there's no coincidence that, despite the fact that he's not really scored for a couple of months, everybody else in the team is scoring goals. Martial's scoring goals. Rashford's scoring goals. And the reason for that is Lukaku's hold-up play, Lukaku's movement. Lukaku's dragging defenders out of the way because they're marking him. That's leaving gaps and spaces for other people to go. And as I said earlier, the way that I would want to try and beat this Manchester City team is set pieces, because we've been excellent at set pieces this year. And that is a major, major vulnerability for City. The other way is to allow them to attack, hit them on a fast counter with a quick transition, get the ball into the channels, get it at the feet of our quick players. Wouldn't be shocked to see Marcus Rashford, Jesse Lingard or Martial starting this game. I think Martial's going to get the nod because he looks just so lethal at the moment. I think Tony Martial essentially going to be one-on-one with a goalkeeper several times in this game this weekend. We've just got to hope he can find the back of the net. We can win this game. I'm not confident we can win this game, but we can win this game if we set up with the right attitude.
Exactly that. You know, Anthony Martial in the Premier League this season's been directly involved in a goal every 64 minutes, which is incredible. But let's quickly go back and talk about Zlatan in midfield, House. And I'd like to get your opinion on how they're going to deal with Fernandinho, David Silva and De Bruyne, because you've gone with quite a gung-ho midfield. Is Zlatan going to pick up Fernandinho? Is he going to be sitting on...
On paper, yeah, it is gung-ho on paper, but I think in reality you're going to see them sitting off. You're going to see both Lukaku, which I've been surprised at his work rate actually in defence, and Martial sort of double up on the wingers with Valencia and Young. And then you're going to see a screen of three players, three absolute monsters in Matic, Fellaini and Zlatan. Zlatan was often in the number 6 in that sort of slingshot role last season. It was quite frustrating seeing him there. I think in a defensive sort of attitude and just someone who's told to just patrol that area, I think Zlatan could do a good job. And he actually does have a good range of passing on him. And when I said maybe no Michael Carrick, who's going to be the guy that can find that ball? I think Zlatan's going to be the guy that finds the ball and puts it in the channels. And obviously an absolute deadly threat at set pieces for us.
Interesting. Sam, tell me that you've got Jess Lingard in your starting 11, because Alson's not got him and Jess Lingard's been tearing people apart on the counter. Sam, hit me with your team, your formation, how United are going to beat City.
So before I tell you my team, suspense.
Yep.
I think I haven't put him in my lineup, but I think Zlatan will definitely start now that I think about it. Perhaps that's why he wasn't in the previous couple of squads. Maybe they thought this is the perfect opportunity to give him a big role. If he's ready for it, get him ready for it, train him up for it, put him in now. So I wonder if that's what's on the card. My team is David De Gea in goal, Lindelof, Smalling and Rojo at the back, with Ashley Young and Valencia doing their wing-back roles. In the middle, Matic, Herrera, with Jesse Lingard sort of in the 10 and Martial and Lukaku at the 4. That's like we played against Watford and against Arsenal. More or less exactly the same. Jesse Lingard has to play, obviously. And I think if he's fairly central like he has been, he will not only be able to produce good moments of football, but also he will put so much pressure on City's back line through his constant movement that will create things. Like we should have had a goal. Lukaku should have scored, we know, against CSKA when I think it was Rashford put the pressure on the fullback, put the ball across, he didn't shoot. That's the kind of thing I expect Jesse Lingard to be doing.
That's the big thing for Jesse Lingard for me.
Right.
I think he's going to be so vital in both an attacking and defensive stage. Both of you guys went for the same wing backs this season. You know, imagine back in the day, well, Ferguson days, you've got Young who was a left winger and obviously Valencia is a right winger. Now we're seeing them in this attacking system. Sam, do you think it's due to the back three that this is working so well as having those two guys at wing back?
Yeah, possibly. I think a lot of it is down to the personnel at the club and getting the best out of them. Because I think Tony V is in a back four is a fantastic right back. But as a wing back, perhaps that plays to his strengths even more because he naturally wants to get down that wing. And it's sort of the same with Ashley Young. His defensive work rate perhaps isn't, or his defensive attributes are not his strongest skill set, but he's definitely capable of doing a job there. But obviously is more productive to the team further down the wing. So I think it gets the most out of the options we have. And then we have a lot of very talented centre-backs. So it fits. I don't know if it's a case of, like, we want to play 3 at the back, so this is how we can do it. I think it might be more the system suits the players. Because actually 3 at the back against Arsenal wasn't perfect because David De Gea had to make 14 saves. So you'd hope actually we'd give our goalkeeper more protection than that, as much as he is phenomenal, doesn't necessarily need more protection. Against Manchester City, they've got a lot more firepower than Arsenal do. So if they get 14 shots, they're gonna score.
Yeah,
regardless
that
of De
potentially
Gea's
would be the problem.
Unquestionable brilliance. So I don't know if the back 3 invites pressure on us, which obviously isn't ideal against a team that are so good at getting goals and have so much power in attack. To the back 3, I think it's potentially dangerous in this scenario, but I do think it's the best system for the players we have. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think it's a good point. I quite like what teams have done recently against City, and that switch to a back 5, 4 in midfield and 1 up front. I'd probably push Jess Lingard out to the right wing and have him working on that side, because again, City, they build up down that left, so if you can counter there and break down that side, then switch it to Martial on the other side, that's where United could really get at City. Again, apologies for Sam's connection. He's turning into a robot from time to time, but he's a great guy. Subscribe to his new YouTube channel. But anyway, let's move on to the opposition. Manchester City, they are rampant. 13 games on the bounce that they've won. It's an unbeaten streak that may be a Premier League record if they beat United. Howson, talk to me about Manchester City's inverted fullbacks this season and why they're so important to Pep Guardiola's possession football.
Well, do you know what the major difference that I'm seeing in this City side is? Because this City team, if not this side, has done similar, if not the same thing, the last 2 seasons where they've shot off like a rocket. Everyone's awarded them the title, and they haven't won it in either season, bizarrely. The difference this season is they're not holding possession in the goalkeeper and the 2 centre-halves, which frustrated the shit out of me last season. So many people couldn't wait to fall over themselves and say that this City team was playing amazing football because they had insane possession stats. They had insane possession stats, but it wasn't holding it anywhere dangerous. And if I'm playing against that City team, I'm letting you have the ball when it's in between your centre-halves. You're not doing anything with it. Sound, keep it there. The difference this season is they're holding possession a lot further up. And David Silva is massively integral to that. He is the Xavi of this team. He's so good with the ball at his feet. He's so good finding space, and he's so good keeping that metronomic passing going all around the place with this City team. They've also got an absolute embarrassment of good attacking players that if one of them goes down, they can bring another one in, and if that guy goes down, they can bring another one in. And if they have weaknesses, and they definitely have weaknesses, it's in the back line. Going forward, they're absolutely ruthless. And I wonder how Jose Mourinho is gonna try and combat this, because Jose's thing in big games is to relinquish possession because he thinks you make more mistakes with the ball than without the ball. I personally don't. I think it's easier to find mistakes when you've got the ball, find mistakes in someone's defensive setup than it is finding mistakes when they've got the ball. I'm not understanding how you can find mistakes when people have got possession, unless they're trying to do a Liverpool thing when Gerrard slips and they're trying to pass it around the back line when his player's in close proximity. I think the City team is different, and I think the City team is very good. I don't know if they're good enough to be considered a European elite. They're certainly good enough to win the Premier League this season, and I think if we don't beat them, we're probably going to see that, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I wouldn't consider them in a European elite yet. I think Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona, even PSG, when they're playing with the ball properly, are a lot better than this Manchester City side. In terms of the David Silva thing, I completely agree. He's the hub of this team. Kevin De Bruyne is getting all the lights. He's getting the assists, he's getting the goals. But if we look per game, Paul Pogba beats him both goals and assists. Statman Sam, tell me some stats. Who is the key man for Manchester City that United need to negate?
I have no stats. I am more or less an idiot who talks about the things I see. But I am afraid of all of their players. They are a phenomenal attacking side, and they almost cheat the midfield by deploying attackers everywhere. Like they managed to sneak De Bruyne to sign up with David Silva and Sane and Sterling and Aguero, or possibly Gabriel Jesus, and it's ridiculous. I think the only way to try and get something is to allow those players to wash forward. And because I think in their midfield, usually they don't play two defensively minded players. It's always just maybe Fernandinho.
I think the big thing with that is, Fernandinho is the guy that you could get.
There might be times we can pick them off because they'll commit so many bodies. Because, well,
I think that's a big thing.
Let's get it.
Let's get him. Let's attack him. But again, the big thing for City at corners, from the right-hand side to the near post, there is a big weakness there. And if you want to check more about the weaknesses of Man City, my tactical analysis from my channel will be in the description below. But anyway, not about me.
Nice.
Let's do score predictions. How are Manchester United, how many goals are United going to score against this rubbish City defence? Stephen Alson, score prediction, give it me now.
Do you know what? I saw someone comment yesterday, the fact that I predicted a draw the last 3 games got them really angry. I'm sorry, my predictions and my own feelings makes you angry. What's going on with your life if you're getting upset on other man's opinion? So maybe I'm predicting a draw again in the hope that I'm wrong again. After predicting a draw against Watford and predicting a draw against Arsenal, I confidently stride in and put 1-1 on the table and hope for the best. How about that?
Nice.
Sam, what are you going to go with? Are you going to go with a 1-1?
Well, we haven't conceded 2 goals at Old Trafford for ages, so I think they're going to score 2 because they're bound to do that, which means we'll score 3.
I can get in on that. I'm going to go with 4-2. I've done it before and I'm going to do it again. Ashley Young and, of course, Marouane Fellaini to be the big guys. But anyway, if you want to check out more of Stephen Howson, Stephen Howson FC on YouTube. And, of course, Sam Homewood, brand new channel. Sam is now a YouTuber. He'll be back on FTD in the new year. So make sure you check out more FTD, more Sam Homewood. And that is that. Come on, United. It's a big game at the weekend. And we are going to smash Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. Over and out. I've been Statman Dave. See you later.